I'm Roberto Martinez and you're watching Toffee TV.
Hello, welcome to Toffee TV with me, Ped and Baz. We're here to talk about the Everton General Meeting, used to be called AGMs in our day, Baz, from Monday night. The Philharmonic in Liverpool city centre, all discussing all the yearly things that have gone on. It is one of those nights to create a little bit of controversy, or not, depending on what's gone. There are a couple of little bits of controversy, Baz, coming out of this one. Obviously, the shareholders had a number of questions that were answered or weren't answered. We'll speak about that in a moment. But the main one, obviously, to come out last night was the stadium. Walton Hall Park. We've obviously been talking about it for about a year, because that's when it was last announced, last one. Well, not even announced, it just seeped out and became a rumour turned into a thing, and a thing turned into drama, which is now. Basically what got said last night was, by Robert Elston, was that the club are not going around with a begging bowl. They're not pestering the council for money. They said, basically what they said was, we've got everything in place and it's up to the council to sort this out. I don't quite understand that, because I don't know what's going on. But Joe Anderson, the mayor of Liverpool, responded by basically saying, I look forward to the club's planning and financial proposals tomorrow, which will be today, Tuesday. He tweeted that. So, you know, he put it out there straight away in the public, which pretty much started head spinning. It's mad. It's all a bit mad. It's like a tit for tat. It's like it's ridiculous.
Like us on Pro Evo.
It is.
Again, shots fired, isn't it?
It is.
I suppose.
Well, the shots fired were from
Robert Elston.
From Robert Elston.
Yeah. I think once you put that out there, it's quite dangerous, isn't it? If you're not expecting, someone to come back with something. Obviously, neither party want to be seen as kind of dragging their feet in this. It's been a very public thing now, like you say, for 12 months. So, Robert Elston was very naive if he thought that there was not going to be some kind of comeback. Or maybe I've got it wrong, or we've got it wrong. Maybe Everton are sat there with that big fat wedge on the desk ready to go for the stadium. I mean, I think if that was the case, there'd have been a little bit more of a song and dance about it from the club. But Robert Elston has put it on Joe Anderson's toes, and he's battered it straight back. So I think what we probably should have done was give Joe a ring before we done this video and just said, have you got the proposal on your desk now? Is it ready to go? Is there a spade in the ground at Walton Hall
There's
Park?
not. There isn't one.
There is not a spade. We can confirm.
There's something on the ground at Walton Hall Park.
It's not a spade.
But it's just come out of a dog.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a mad situation, isn't it?
It's basic. I mean, Robert Elston's basically gone into this meeting to, what it seems like is, Billy Big Boots. Yeah, basically. And it's basically said, oh yeah, the city need us. They need us to do this. We've put this together. We want to regenerate the area. We want to help jobs. We're the big keystone in this. But the council are just dragging their feet. It's, what are they doing? It's like, I think one of the things he said was, invest in it and you'll get your money back. That to me sounds like a beg and bowl kind of thing to say. Everton are a Premier League football team. There's money everywhere, so we're told, maybe in other places, but there's teams getting new stadiums left, right and centre. Now, whether they pay for them themselves, whether they got an investment, outside investment, whether they got a local authority to help them, this to me is not going to help proceedings if the two parties involved are having a go with each other. That just doesn't make sense.
It's a bit. I mean, it's a crazy situation. I think there's merits on both, isn't it? I mean, jobs will be created, which is obviously, that's obvious. It's going to happen. It's got to happen. And there will be well, hopefully there would be a regeneration package in there as well, because there should be. However, it's a bit of land that Everton are getting, say free, but if Everton looking to just be given this piece of land and not do anything else on it as well, and it is a big park space. People around the area we know aren't happy. Some people aren't happy with it, of course. It's green space that's getting, potentially taken up. but for, like you say, for the two parties to be seemingly so far apart, I don't know how you correct that. How do you come together?
After a year.
That's what I mean.
This is a project that Robert Elston said he was given a day and a half over a week, I think. What did he say?
That's what he said for a number of years. He spends a day and
a half doing it. Now this is a day and a half. If you put a day and a half into it, then what's going on? Because it doesn't seem like it's moved an inch. It doesn't seem like it's gone anywhere. There are no proposals.
I'm happy.
There are no plans.
I'm happy to put my kind of plums on the line and say that I just don't ever see Everton moving there. In the current climate, unless, look, 6 months down the line we could have a shiny new owner with loads of money who goes, that's exactly what we're doing. I don't know, maybe Robert Elstone knows that something's afoot and he's kind of saying, we've got guarantees, we've got them. But I would have thought that to me is massive Everton news. So, and it's massively positive if you can come out and say we have got funding and we can build a new stadium. Yeah. That is big news for Everton. So for them to do almost what Everton do really well, which is almost sometimes like a North Korea type thing. You just don't get any information out of them. To then turn up at the Philharmonic and give it a bit of a theatrical performance is a bit of a mad one.
I'd love to believe that was the case, but clearly, if you
believe Everton will go there, currently
no. But what I'm saying is, surely if you're in a partnership with a local authority, then you would share that information with them. Yeah. You wouldn't. Let's basically say what it is. He publicly put it out there last night and basically said it was down to the council. You know, as you say, he put it on their toes. He put it out there. If anyone is from watching this video and they're not, aware of sort of Liverpool or what's happened in Liverpool City Council is probably one of the poorest councils in the country. There's massive cutbacks.
And it's getting worse.
It's going to get worse in the next couple of years. There's libraries shutting down left, right and centre. You're not going to get your bins done. Now, in the last few years, Joe Anderson has speculated to accumulate. He bought Finch Farm, for God's sake. He bought something that wasn't even in Liverpool. And basically, that's what Liverpool City Council have been doing the last few years. They've been buying properties with the money and basically renting them back or saying, well, that's money we've got tied up in property. That'll sustain the city for the next few years. Yeah. But I think a stadium is just too far gone. It's just, there's too many, like as you just said, we haven't even got to the point where we're at a position where it's like the people who want the park to stay, they'll get involved. People who live in the city will get involved and say, "What? How dare you spend our money on a Premier League football stadium? What do the local area get out of this? You know what I mean? It's not like a Commonwealth Games situation where you get this massive couple of weeks or month of massive investments all around the city. This is
there will be kickbacks from it financially.
Of course there will
for the area and for local people and all that. So we're not saying not sat here saying it's a totally negative thing, because of course it isn't. It's the city needs this kind of degeneration thing, but not everyone will agree with that, and not everyone will want that, and we're not at that stage. Yes, we've had a couple of people putting petitions together because they didn't want it to happen in the first place, but like you've just said, personally, and I don't know any more than anybody else, it doesn't feel to me as though anything's changed. It's a bit like Marty McFly's turned up and took us back 12 months. That's how it seems, because nothing's happened.
But what you just said, you're right there, because it almost feels like because of that, the club have got so desperate that they feel like the only tactic they've got is to put a gun to the council's head and say, all the powers in your... Effectively, they've shielded the criticism and put it onto someone else, shone the light on someone else, and Joe Anderson's just put it back on them and said, well, if this is the case, show us, tell us, because he basically said, we're all ready to go, and Joe Anderson's saying, well, show us that you're ready to go, and then maybe we can move on to the next stage. If they haven't done that, then where are we going?
Yeah, I mean, you would have thought that if I'm sat here, if I'm Everton and you're Joe Anderson, you would have thought I'd have said to you, here's our package, we've got this together, we've got that together, Joe, we're ready to go, and then you raise the questions you've got to raise or talk to other people. So I don't understand. I honestly don't understand. Other than it's almost as if it's a case, and I'm not accusing Robert Elstone of doing anything like this, but it's almost like a panic reply where you're in a room full of people and you don't really know what to say. So you've gone, it is this.
I wouldn't see.
He's puffing his chest.
See, I wouldn't say that because I mean I wasn't there last night, but I've seen Robert Elstone do these things before, and he's a very, very accomplished speaker. You know, he doesn't have any notes or anything like that. And he just. So what I'm saying to you now is, I don't think it was a case of what am I going to say. I think it was a very calculated thing to say.
No, I'm not saying he's just on the spot walked in there and thought this room's full. I don't know what to say. But I'm saying it's coming across as if. I just don't understand, me personally. I don't understand how you can say to the other party in this, everything's sorted, we're ready to go. If it isn't sorted and you aren't ready to go. So therefore, that's what I'm trying to say to you. Everton, I wouldn't understand why they haven't done it. If Everton have sat there with a silver briefcase full of wedge and they're ready to build this stadium, or they're ready certainly to fulfil the initial process, why they're not singing from the rooftops with it?
Do you think?
Why Joe Anderson?
Would you think this? I mean, for me, what I think it does is it creates another period of time, because what I feel like has been happening over the last 6 months is, and I've said this to people, is that Everton have been stringing fans along, because as long as this thing's still alive, it doesn't create a atmosphere of, I don't want to use the word hatred, but an atmosphere of that people having no faith in this board. And as long as they string us along and it isn't the third failed bid, then people will go along with it. It's like the Everton project that was supposed to be in the Park End. No one ever said that was all sort of over. They let it go quietly into the night, and then it was like people forgot about it and they got rid of it from existence. And then it was like, oh yeah, you know, this was the reason. Now you can't do that with a stadium, but what they're effectively doing, what I think they're almost trying to do is throw it back onto the council, and then the council, they probably thought, well, the council are going to panic now because it's going to make them look bad. So they'll have a period of silence. Don't forget, we were supposed to be told at the end of October what was happening. We weren't. We got a very brief statement first couple of weeks in November saying it's ongoing. And it almost feels like the club are trying to make the council look bad. So the council step away into the shadows, and it's taken off the club again. So it's creating another period of time where it's almost like, well, we told you it's going to be this long, and then when it gets to that, rather than just saying, listen, this is going nowhere, because it is going nowhere. It is going nowhere. The council cannot afford to pay for this, as far as I'm concerned. The people of the city probably won't allow them to pay for it. Don't forget, we had an announcement last week to say that there's going to be like a new mega mayor. You know, Joe Anderson's going to want to be that. It's not just the mayor of Liverpool, it's going to be the mayor of like Greater Liverpool soon. That's what we're going to become. Joe Anderson, he's already on, for a lot of people, he's already on a lot of thin ice in this city. So to convince the city and people from surrounding areas that he wants to be the mayor, he's going to have to tread very carefully. Now, for him to be this risky and say, we're going to deliver this stadium and no matter what, not going to happen. Not going to happen whatsoever.
Not unless there's cast iron kind of assurances that,
which there aren't.
That this, you know, Everton have got this kind of money, this regeneration will take place, this is the amount of jobs it'll create. It makes financial sense to do it. There'll be a shareholder within the football club, the city council, so they'll get a revenue back every year. If you can deliver them kind of things, people might go, okay, we're getting something from it. Everton are essentially tenants, we're getting the rent back, and we're making money, the pot's going up all the time. Fair enough, you know, that's probably the only way, but like you've said, bins are getting cut, you know, hospital staff, public, sector workers are losing jobs left, right and centre. You know, I work in the public sector, I know how many jobs are at risk. All of our jobs are at risk. It's getting great. We've got to save another 36 million or something, and that's going to keep that projected for the next 3 years to over £100 million. They've already had to save 210 million or whatever it was. So Everton have got to present a very strong case for this to even get by, before it even gets to a situation where people are putting their hands up saying, but Everton have been very naive if they think that you can turn around and basically call someone out and they're not going to say a word about it, because what would you do? What would you do if it's in the public domain and someone puts it back on your toes and you're thinking, hang on, you're not at that level. You're not going to go, oh yeah, it's all.
What I love about it is that not only did Joe Anderson react to it, he reacted while the meeting was still going on via Twitter. I mean, how sort of a modern reaction is that? They weren't even out the room. In fact, if it was more of a public forum, I'm sure someone would have stood up and gone, actually, mate, he's already blew you up here. He's already been on to you. How do you react to that? But unfortunately, those meetings don't work that way. But Everton are saying there's a £2.5 million ring-fenced pot of money. How that's declined in the last 15 years. Ring-fenced money to basically investigate the possibility. What is going on? Do you know what? It's just a farce. We're a year down the line, and I know people have said to me, well, I'm sure Everton wouldn't have wanted to make this public, but if you want public money, you've got to make things public. That's the way it goes. You can't do things in secrecy. It just smacks that. Now, I know a lot of clubs couldn't afford to just build a stadium themselves. But what it's basically saying is, we haven't got the money. We can't afford to build. You know, we've tried it before with other people, with retail people. Tesco say, like, we can't do it. It's just not happening.
Me personally, yeah, like I said, I don't see that happening. And my views are totally different anyway. I'd rather us stay at Goodison. I'd rather us redevelop Goodison.
Yeah.
I'd rather us look and go, this is our plans for the next 15, 20 years. Our neighbours have, like we said last week on a thing we done last week, they've rebuilt their stadium over 20 years. Why can't Everton have a long-term plan? Yeah, it'd be lovely to get a new shiny 65,000, 55,000 seater stadium and think that we're going to sell 200 executive boxes and we're going to be awash with cash, but with Everton, so let's rebuild and let's listen. What I want more than anything is a future, is to see this is where we want to get to and this is how we want to do it. I don't want to hear any more pie in the sky, and I want us to start dealing in the reality.
Well, Goodison Park was mentioned, so let's talk about it for a moment. What basically they said was Goodison Park was almost like a last resort. I think there was a chart and it was like a box ticking exercise, and Goodison Park didn't tick all these boxes. There you go. It's only an institute that's been going for over 100 years, and all the rest of it. It's only got a massive emotional ties and people's ashes scattered around, but doesn't tick some boxes, so that's fine. What he said was that the park end could be developed sort of straight away. We could add an extra 5,000 to the attendance, executive boxes. In the future, then you could look at the Bullens, if those houses behind could be purchased. That to me is very narrow thinking, very, very narrow thinking. There have been reports done before by, real people with real architects who have looked at the footprint and it
all costs money. That's the thing.
Yes, but I read yesterday that the actual footprint of Goodison Park is bigger than the footprint of St James's Park. Okay. So basically, it is a case of that the stadium would probably have to be moved from where its position where the pitch is now. But so be it. So be it. Let's start thinking in a different way. Why does it have to be such a narrow view? Anfield, it does get brought up a lot of the time because what we've seen with Anfield is four new stands built over 20 years, and they are finally getting a modern stadium. But it's Anfield, isn't it? It's still Anfield. Yeah. It's it might be 4 new stands, but it's still Anfield.
It feels right, doesn't
exactly.
It, for them?
That's what we want. Now we know there are a lot of obstacles. We know there are. There's houses, there's a school, there's a big car park. But Liverpool had all these obstacles and they got over them. Now they might have done things in a way that we wouldn't want to do. But let's say in 10 years' time, those houses behind the Bullens, the people there might want new houses, or who knows. The point is, if you don't investigate it and you don't have a plan and you don't see things the way we see them because of the emotional pull, then you're never gonna get anywhere. And what I think is that, like we've just been discussing, Walton Hall Park is another dead end. And what comes after that? Another dead end, another dead end. Without, it all comes back to the simple fact is, we have no money. We do have a begging bowl, and what we do is what we have is a ground. So let's go forward with that as our number one priority.
We've been knocking around for 16 years now, isn't it? Since the King's Dock. We were sold the King's Dock theory when with the image, the view. We first heard about it. I was actually working at the club, and we were given a lovely presentation and taken down to a tent.
We're great at presentations.
It was fantastic, and they looked fantastic. And that was our real chance to make a statement in the city, and it was there for us. And I could have raised 30 million quid if they'd have let me go selling it around the world, because just what it represented. And unfortunately, it appears at that time there was a bit of infighting, and different people
wanted different
things, and we let it slip through our fingers, which is heartbreaking. Really, when you go down to the Echo Arena now, it's heartbreaking, because it should have been Everton Stadium. We're 16 years on and we're still going, this might happen at Walton Hall Park. Well, you know, if we'd have just gone after King's Dock, right, devastated that hasn't worked, but you know what, we're redoing the park end, and in 5 years we'll have an extra 5,000 seats there, and our stadium will hold 45,000. We'd have had that in 2004 when we finished fourth, that we'd have, and then we could have gone, right, let's try and redevelop the Bullens or whatever, and we might have had that now. So we might have been 16 years after that heartbreak of losing the King's Dock, we might have actually been looking at redeveloping the main stand and buying property. It isn't easy. It will be difficult. It will cost money. There probably is an easier way if you could just have a flat piece of land and build a new stadium. But we aren't Man City. We haven't been given a ground. We're not West Ham. We haven't been magically given this taxpayers' money, football-funded stadium. We are Everton. We don't have enough money to give the manager every summer to buy the players he wants. Hence the reason why we're always looking over our shoulder when our younger players are doing well. And until we get to a situation where we're backed by a board of 8-9 people with lots and lots of money, it's always going to remain the same.
There was only one shareholder there last night, John Woods. Now we know Bill wasn't there because of ill health. Robert Taylor just doesn't care less. Well, let's just say it right. He doesn't care less. He's.
But is he? I mean, is he anything to do with Everton?
He's not.
He goes on American telly and says
he owns it. Club, but he's there.
Is he just name only?
As far as I'm concerned, he's just a proxy. As far as I'm concerned, and that's the thing. You go into a. It feels like Robert Elston is effectively just running everything at the club, and that's the problem. There just seems to be a lack of ideas and real, almost like I know we've said this before. It has been a criticism of Bill Kenwright, but for me, doesn't seem like there is an emotional pull to stay at Goodison and try and do that. It seems...
It is but I don't know, it's difficult, isn't it? Because I suppose that he'll be getting advice from other people who are going, we need to move away from it. It's almost as if Goodison's just over there, it's not, we can't stay there. It's fallen to bits. We won't get a safety certificate, it's been saying for X amount of years. So that's swerved, isn't it? So it's, look, this is the only way, and sometimes when you're not based at the club, you start believing that. I'm not blaming Robert Elstone in terms of he's the one running the club, and he's got no one to answer to, or whether he has got anyone to answer to. He's only working within his own parameters, I suppose, and he's got people around him who I'm sure are trying to make Everton as good as they can, but the problem lies within the infrastructure of Everton. It lies within what's above it. No doubt, I've got no doubt Bill Kenwright loves Everton. I've got no doubt at all, and I see a lot of rubbish on Twitter and people abusing him, and he doesn't love the club and all that. I'm quite sure he does love the club, but he probably loves it too much to the extent that he doesn't want to let it go. That's his biggest thing. I think for me, and I've wanted this for years, Everton board should have 8 to 10 people on it. Evertonians with money. There must be 10 Evertonians around the world who've got a few quid. Do you know what I mean? And then who are all having their own input. Because for me, the Premier League's never been richer. So Everton should have more money than it's ever had.
We're making losses.
And losses are there, and half of our spending is going on wages, massive amounts. Half of the available cash is going on interest, repayments, and you're looking and going, when does this change? Why do we keep living hand to mouth? Where's the vision? Give me the vision. Show me the vision.
Well, effectively, we are. I mean, we said this on the show last week. We are literally, you know, I think two teams lost money last season. It was us and Man United. They lost it because of the massive dive in losing Champions League money and that kind of thing. We just lose it because we lose it, and we made money the year before because we sold Fellaini. You can't selling players can't be the way of making money.
Well, we've sold off all.
Well, everything. We
Sounds
know,
like I'm
you know,
sat here just.
we know what we know. Things
we owned are gone.
Things are getting better financially because of the TV money.
Look, before anyone, you know, is just gonna accuse us of just sitting here with negative spin on everything, on the pitch and everything else, Everton perform, they outperform where
that's
you know
the most
where
frustrating
stats
thing.
are and you know the money men say we should be. You know, there was a fella giving a presentation telling us we should be happy with 11th or 12th because it was where our wage bill was. Well, what a load of bollocks! Because football is
about wages, but
it's about outperforming them. That because you can have Man City have got a massive wage bill. They got the backsides handed to them at the weekend. You know, showing you that some players on massive money means nothing. It's about creating a team. And there is a lot of positives for having the team, the young players, the players they've got there. It is a lot of positives. The supporters are a positive. We turn up week in, week out. Every away game we sell out.
Everton in the community is a massive positive. And that's what they show us at every general meeting as well.
Oh, but that's fair enough. There is all of that is positive. They've done a lot at that presentation that was positive, and they're right to say, look how much we do right. But there's almost the elephant in the room.
Well, Roberto Martinez said it's a perfectly balanced squad because of the age, and that's what it is.
Age-wise, it is.
It's great, and that's what we're saying. You look at this team, look how good it is. We need to keep it together and we need to show the ambition. Let's just talk quickly about a few other things that were raised in it last night. Robert Elston said some of the questions from the shareholders where he didn't answer some of them. He said at first he was disappointed by them, and then he said some of them were disgraceful. And basically some of the questions were basically saying, are Everton illegal? They're doing illegal things, basically pointing firmly to Philip Green. Well, we all know. We all know all the rumours, and we've all heard the things said, and I've already indicated maybe proxy shareholders, so maybe I already blew myself up. But you know, so that's what they're saying. It's a disgrace to me that Robert Elston said it was a disgrace. The shareholders tweeted the same thing. It's a disgrace that you knew the 41 questions, yet you went on stage and said it was a disgrace. Sorry, they're the shareholders. I know a lot of people say, as fans, do we have a right to criticise? I, as a fan, say we do. We aren't customers, we are fans. This is a football club. As much as people want to make it a business, there is an emotional attachment to it. People say without fans, football would go on because of TV money. It wouldn't. It would die on its arse in no time. But those people who are shareholders have an emotional and a financial tie to the club. And if they answer a question, you damn right better answer it. I don't give a, I was about to swear there, I don't give a monkey's who you are, right? You're a custodian of the club, and you don't have the right to tell those people you're not going to answer the question. Bill Kenwright did it a few years ago, and he was just as out as order then, and that's why the AGMs got finished. It should be an open and transparent environment that we live in. We already see all this nonsense coming out of FIFA and the IOC and all that. I expect my football club and the man who gets paid an awful lot of money to run it to answer these questions whether he likes it or not. He could have come on stage and just said, no, of course this didn't happen or that didn't happen, but thanks for your question, we move on. Yeah. It's done then. This to me adds more speculation.
But you might not be able to say that. That's what people are not.
That's not for me to say.
At the end, no, I'm not saying it is or it isn't, but that's what I'm saying. You put an end to anything like that. You kill it there and then. The thing about it is, to anyone who is employed by the club, who isn't from the area or whatever, running the club, is that we will be here long after you have gone, and the fans and the share. So when you are getting addressed by shareholders of a company that you are running, then you need to answer the questions. And to turn around and say any question is a disgrace, when we were all seeing what questions were going to be asked, I didn't look at any of them and go, that you shouldn't be asking that.
And also, when do When okay, do you know what? There might have been, I haven't looked at all the questions, but there might have been one question where you went, "Whoa!" But then when does a legitimate question become a disgraceful question? That's the point. You know, if you've got
Yeah, they could have. I haven't seen them all.
no, but what I'm saying is though, if you've got a question, no question. These people who are shareholders, they're not idiots.
No.
They're not like it's not like you've took a Q&A from Twitter, or Reddit.
Not that Toffee TV thinks anyone on Twitter's.
No, I'm just saying. Well, you get a lot of crackpots. Let's be honest. But let's be honest. These are shareholders. They handed in. You're only gonna get so many opportunities. It's like when we went to speak to Roberto Martinez, and a lot of people said, "Why aren't you asking this and why aren't you asking that?" Well, because you only get like 2 or 3 questions. You're gonna make sure you ask them the right questions. Yeah. So I understand that, but it doesn't mean that that things are disgraceful. So when does if next year if he doesn't like a question and he doesn't answer it, can he just come out with the excuse that it was a disgraceful question? You know,
you'd have to ask him that, wouldn't you? It's the situation. And Robert, you're welcome to come on anytime. Look, I just think, me personally, the way I would have addressed it is, if there was genuinely nothing in the questions, I'd have just shot them down as quickly as possible. But I've found that it's been like this for too many years. Though, isn't it? It's been like this for too many years with my club, and some things just aren't answered. It's unanswered. There's too much stuff that's left unsaid, and I think that's why fans get frustrated. And if you've got no money, you turn around and say, "We've got no money." You tell them. You don't string it along. If you're not going to build a stadium, you tell them. If you can't answer, if someone is, I just think if you add fuel to the fire, which they are keep burning, and that's the problem.
Well, I suppose they talked about the Powerade thing last night. That got brought up, and they said, well, when we went into that, it was all.
We've dealt with that.
But I'm saying that dragged on for a little bit. It shouldn't have took an AGM to sort that out.
No, but he's dealt with that.
But he has dealt with it now. Let's just quickly jump into a couple of other things. Right, talking about investment, Robert Elston said, "There's never been more people out there looking, but successful ones are rare." And I can see where he's coming from, to a point. But with money going into the likes of Bournemouth and the likes of Palace, not buying the club but investing in it, which was always what we were told we wanted. I don't know. It just doesn't seem like they want to sell the club. Has it ever felt like they wanted to sell the club? Really?
Yeah, but the fact he's addressed it, isn't that a thing? Because I think Everton normally will go on and go, no one wants to invest. No one's buying football clubs.
No one.
No one's out there. We want to. So for them to actually go, there's never been more people looking to invest, suggests to me that Everton are in talks. But like you've said, and we've said it on different stuff, it feels as though things are. I feel as though things are moving towards that.
Yeah, we've said this before, haven't we?
But I don't know, not until someone actually comes out and goes.
To be honest,
I'm buying.
To be honest, I don't know. When you put that and you put the stadium thing together, they don't really match up. Though that's the only worry I've got.
Yeah.
They don't really match up. You know.
Or is I'm saying, look, where
I know we can't walk into the meeting and go, there's nothing happening. Proper Dr. Evil. I know it. People, I suppose a lot of the time people want too much information that is not ready to be out there. So it's a difficult balancing act. Some of the things that come out of the not just out the meeting last night, but obviously out of the financial side of things that obviously came out. Everton losing money, but there's more turnover. They're making more through the TV. There's a little bit more from the commercial side, but not too much. They actually have one of the lowest debts in the Premier League, but one of the biggest problem is that they have the highest interest rates, and I think that's more of a long-term issue from things that debts that loans that we took out in the 90s and the early part of Peter Johnson and Bill Kenwright. So that's playing like 8% debts on debts and things like that. That's one of the big things. So those things we can't really get away from at the moment. I mean, if we were to try and pay them off, which I'm not sure we could, but if we tried to, I think we'd incur probably massive financial penalties as well. So they are historical issues that until we can get them sorted, we're not.
Look, it all points to the fact that yes, in terms of season by season, with the playing staff, you've got Everton do quite well, given that the money and everything else, they're doing well. But for us to start developing and going on and trying to be what we all want us to be, we're all desperate for a trophy.
Yeah.
We're all desperate to be in that top four. We're all desperate to be considered genuine title contenders.
Yeah.
For any of that to happen, there's got to be big changes. It can't. It's not going to happen. No matter how much confidence we have in a manager or how much we big up Lukaku and Barkley and Delafeu and people like that, who are all fantastic to watch and make going a match enjoyable. The reality is, to be consistently up near the top, we need a whole change at the club, a whole culture.
We need someone to buy us,
like that.
with a lot of money to buy us.
That's it.
But then some people go, well, that's just a. But then that feeds back into how much do they want for the club. Do you know what I mean?
What I'm saying though is, I'm not necessarily just saying we need it. We want a Roman Abramovich, or we want the. Well, we would have him, like, or Sheikh Mansour, or anyone like that. What I'm saying is, you've got to have someone who's come in with money, who can take the club forward strategically in terms of redeveloping the ground and stuff like that, and on the playing side. And
we're treading water.
We are. That's what we're doing.
We're
doing it well. We're doing it well.
And we're benefiting from the TV money and being in the Premier League, which will only go up. And also, I think what was said as well was, because the Premier League TV deal is every 3 years, we can only really have 3-year plans, because after the 3 years we don't know what comes next, so we can't plan ahead of 3 years, which is an awful situation to be in, but a situation that a lot of people would suggest that the club have created themselves by not creating opportunities.
We're probably not the only club to be like that, by the way.
But I don't care about other clubs.
No, what I'm just saying,
clubs are not Everton.
We're not the only club. But
and when other clubs get mentioned, they're the likes of Stoke. We are not Stoke. We are Everton.
Stoke, you're messing. Stoke are much better off than us. They are.
I know.
Financially secure, better kit deals,
sad thing.
big wages.
That's the sad thing.
But look, we know what we need, and it needs to happen. It just seems like every year it's just like, another year gone by. Another year gone by.
Lastly, I don't even know if this means anything, but lending. We are lending money off Prudential, Barclays, and JG Funding.
We're lending money off the Barclays.
We're lending money off.
They're paying him too much money if he's bouncing it back to him.
Prudential, Barclays, and JG Funding, who also, I'm told reliably, help West Ham out as well.
JG.
Yeah, so they're all legal. They're all above board. They might be morally legal, but that doesn't really matter, does it?
I couldn't comment. I don't know what they are, whether
I
they're
don't know what they are.
morally legal or not.
I don't know.
I'm not a financial expert in any way, shape or form. Look, just looking as a fan, without going too deep into it, it's quite clear we need a large investment. We need to sort the ground out. We need money behind us. We're doing very well, but we want to be doing better.
Exactly.
And that's it for me.
Joe Anderson, I think, is going to put
on the show.
He's going to. Well, we'll ask him, but he's going to put a lot more detailed statements out regarding the situation.
Be interesting.
I don't know whether that relationship. Well, there's got to be a relationship. There's the City Council and a Premier League football club that lives in the city, so that needs to be sorted out. He's going to do that. Tell us what you think in the comments. Do you think this is a load of nonsense that we're talking and there's actually nothing to worry about and things are moving forward? Or are you majorly concerned that the stadium seems to have stopped again and we're looking like we have a third stadium disaster for Everton? Is it going to be the third time we've failed? Tell us what you think in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to us as well. Tell us what you think on Twitter as well. It is at Toffee TV1, and we'll catch you later.
You're watching Toffee TV.